camera off because I'm just like literally. Wait, I'll show you. I'm just sitting in my car waiting for my daughter to get out of soccer. So I figured, she's going to jump in the car and, it'll be chaos. So I'd rather just keep the camera off for now.
No worries. Your picture is very pretty.
Well, you know what? It's like this cool. It's the glass. It looks like this like incredible sky. It's just like the glass ceiling in the car. People think it's like exotic. It's just the glass ceiling,
Yeah. No, but you have a picture up for your thing.
Oh, you know what that picture is of? Guess what that picture is of? It's the view from the top of Chestnut Hill.
I had a feeling. That's very smart. I
literally made that my Gmail image, I don't know, 3 years ago.
It's very
been
nice.
Up there for a while. Thank you.
We'll see you soon. No worries.
Okay. All right. Bye.
Hi, James.
Hi, Melissa.
Hi, Peter. How are you guys?
Okay. Hi, James.
Hello.
Snowing up here.
Is it really? Sunny down here.
It's flurrying, I should say.
It looked like a snow globe a little while ago. Not that it was doing anything, but when I looked outside. Not now. Hi, Judy.
Hi.
Is Lashers really over? Did you guys hear the report on Lashers?
No idea.
No, we don't have that in front of us.
Yeah, I think they said
I heard they pulled out. They pulled out, yeah.
Yep, they did.
Oh, really?
And my phone calls.
Yeah, apparently it's over.
Can no defend. Chuck, your headline for tomorrow. My headline is lobbyists swarm Capitol Hill. Now that they've taken down the fence and.
Me too. Okay, everybody. It is 7 o'clock. And according to my screen, it looks like we have a quorum. So I'd like to call to order the April 1st, 2021 regular Zoom meeting of the Woodstock Planning Board. Do you have any updates, Melissa?
Not really. Just I had last minute sent you guys the curb cut and driveway permit for Michael, which is beautiful. It's good for all 3 driveways.
Saw that.
That's it.
Okay. So first thing we have is the minutes to approve. We have the minutes from March 4th, 2021 and March 18th, 2021. There was a slight revision to the March 4th. I made a quick little change to a sentence I'd said about the EIF asking if the project is in compliance with the comp plan. Other than that, if anybody has any questions or changes, I'd like to say we adopt the 2 minutes of the 2 meetings. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, folks, we got a bunch of things to get through, so we'll kind of move it along. Under communications and announcements, the first 5 ones are all regarding the Ryan Drive application, which, if you all remember, it was 2 towns and it went through near a wetland, and anyway, it's on hold, so we won't worry about that now. And then we had a thing about the Whitmer PAC, which we've taken care of. Then there was a letter from Spinelli, which was very interesting, in which she is suggesting or wondering how the planning board might find younger folks that could take over the banner, and that we could help get interested in doing what we do. So it's a good point, and something maybe we can try to work on. Then we have a couple of letters regarding the Bearsville Center, which we have before us tonight, so we'll deal with that. Then we have an email from Alex from the WEC regarding the CEA training program with Hudsonia. And what it is that there's a application for training assistance from Hudsonia in partnership with the Hudson River Estuary Program. And it's over a couple of months. I think it goes from June to September. There's only 3 meetings or so. And it's all about creating critical environmental areas and how to do it and how to implement it. And basically, the WEC is asking if we want to join them in this training program. It's 3 to 4 or 5 volunteers. I think they have a few. So for you all to think about, we'd be nice if we could get a couple of volunteers from the planning board.
Definitely interested.
What's that?
I'm definitely interested.
Oh, great, Judy. That's great. So we'll deal with that later, but that's we have to apply, I think, by April 30th. Well, yeah. So we have a little bit of time to apply and get everybody's name in. But basically, we're telling the WEC that yes, we're interested, and we will join them in that training. And we still have on board for our workshop meeting coming up to deal with CEAs. So we'll deal with that. So then we have, as I said, then we have the thing about the moratorium, which we shan't get into now. Then there's a letter from McKenna regarding the emergency health plan or emergency plan of operations, which is quite long, so certainly won't get into it all, but maybe you all could read it. It's what the town would do, how to deal with the future issues of pandemics and other emergencies, I would assume. So that's something we should read. And then we have more in the landscaping plan from the Bearsville Center. And again, one from Barry, which we have coming up. So what we have for business tonight is scheduled business. We have 2 sketch plan reviews. And the first one is Michael Sumpis, Planning Board case number 19-1217. And this is a Woodstock Wetlands and Watercourse permit. And it's the creating the 3 lots on the 60 acres and in the R3 zoning district on Chestnut Hill Road in Woodstock. So let me just say this is a continuation really of the Wetlands and Watercourse permit process. And which it is it's in our code, it's 260-34G, and 2 are the standards by which we determine how to approve an application and what we will do for dealing with the going into the wetland buffer. It is like this is part 2 of it, because part 1 of it was when the application before us had roads going through the buffers and through the wetlands. And we basically said, help, we need to avoid that. And so the applicant agreed to not develop in that area. And so that was the first step. And now we're at the second step where we have access to 2 lots which go through part of the buffer. And you all know from the site visits and everything that there is an existing dirt road, if you could say it, an access road that goes into the property there, which they're going to use. And but it is in the buffer, and of course they're going to have to build a proper road, so it takes some disturbance, obviously, in those buffer areas. And so under the code, as I say, G2, is the standards for permit review. And the first standard is, can it be avoided? And we went through that by eliminating that lot where it went through the wetlands. So we've avoided that. So all we're left with is dealing with mitigation for the area that the two driveways go through for the lots. And Barry's maps are excellent, and it does exactly what the code says. It provides us with a map of the wetlands. They've been delineated, they've been mapped. Soils have been taken into account. Everything has been taken into account. So what the planning board is left with to do tonight, right now, is to decide how we're going to mitigate for the area of disturbance within the buffer zone. And there are several options under wetland watercourse mitigation for disturbance in a wetland and watercourse buffer area. One of them is limiting vegetation removal in the area of disturbance. Another is implementing preventive measures to protect natural conditions, functions, restricting activities, green belt around wetlands and watercourses. Well, we've been through that. Then you have restoration of replacing woody species and remaining other wetlands and watercourse areas. We've already dealt with that. There's restoration of existing degrading, disturbing wetlands. No, we're not doing that. So E is increasing of buffer areas to equalize or compensate for the intrusion into the regulated area. And then there are other options are construction of vegetated and structural stream bank, which we don't have to get into, and mitigations of channels, which we're not doing, and swales and bioengineering of stream banks. So it's E that we're really dealing with, which is increasing the buffer areas to compensate. So what the applicant has proposed, I don't know, I've got the map up on my screen. If somebody wants to put it up, that's fine. What the applicant has proposed is an area that's actually along, yeah, very good.
Thanks, Judy.
Yeah, it's okay, but that's not the engineer's map. That's the
We want the ones that you guys just got.
yeah, the one he just sent us, the most recent one. Right. Okay. One more down, I think it was one up or one down was the better. No, I guess it's up then. Okay, go up to one more up.
I think it's sheet 2.
Yeah, it's okay. That's not that one. I'm looking at.
Go one more sheet.
Yeah, there's another
You
sheet.
keep jumping over it. Go back. You jump over it. There you go. Zoom in on that.
Okay, so I'm gonna zoom out a bit so we can get to look at the lot 1 and 2. Getting close. Okay. Okay, getting close. Okay, so what tonight's mission is that the planning board has to agree on the mitigation measure that we will apply to the site plan. The applicant has shown off, you'll see off to the left, the green area that they've shown that there was their idea of their mitigation plan, which is along the side of the steep slopes there. And what I'm suggesting is if you look between lot 1 and lot 2, through lot 1, there's an intermittent stream or a small stream that comes through. And if you look right where it says actually lot 2 plus or minus 6.5 acres. That area is between the two buffers. There's an area between those two buffers that also adjoins the stream. The stream is sort of a dotted black line. And what I'm proposing to the board is that since we have 2 lots with a stream and wetlands, that I think we should give more buffer in that area, because that's more likely to get disturbed. I understand that the applicant picked the other area, but I just don't think that area would ever really be disturbed. So let me ask members of the board how you feel about it. Any member of the board want to see if you think that where we ought to add the additional buffer should be between lots 1 and 2, or actually in the middle of those 3 houses where we increase the buffer?
This is Stuart. Peter, can I ask a question?
Sure.
How would adding this additional buffer, can you just explain a little more how that would protect the area that you're going to expand the buffer? What additional protection would that give in terms of on the ground reality? I mean, you're saying that is these additional areas they won't be able to build in, or
right? You can't develop in it. You can't build in it. Buffer areas, there are things you can do. You can cut trees that are dead. You can cut trees in a buffer. You can actually have walkways and paths. You can't build, you can't build real big paths, but there's things you can do in buffers, but you can't build in it and you can't develop in it. You can't put roads in it.
And how much of a buffer expansion are you thinking about for that area? I mean, don't we have to get it down to nitty gritty? How much?
Well, Barry has an actual number. I don't have it specifically in front of me. He has a square foot number that has been disturbed. So we would apply that.
Yeah, it's it's just over a half an acre.
Right. So you see where it says wetland B, sort of in between, you see wetland B, and then below that, there's where it says lot 2, 6.5 acres. That area is not protected. That's between the 2 buffer areas. And I'm proposing that we extend the buffer to include that.
So this is wetland?
Right, that's a wetland.
And that's a wetland.
No, that's upland. That's the building area.
Right.
Well, that's what I'm trying to see, because I see it's a little hard to read this. This is green dotted.
Yeah.
That's the
and
wetland.
That's the buffer.
Yes.
And this is the building area.
Yeah, that's correct.
Right.
This is green dotted.
Right.
And that's the wetland buffer.
Right.
Wow, that's a tight property, isn't it? So this around here is buffer, and this is a steep slope.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so you're proposing to widen this area here?
Right there, exactly. To widen that buffer.
In
this direction.
Right, exactly.
Which direction?
So Peter, we that's where the house and the septic go. We don't have a half an acre there.
No,
I'm not out that building site.
I'm saying between the.
You mean at wetland B?
Yeah. I'm just talking that if we could get more buffered area in that area.
In this area.
Well, we can cut a little bit of that building site out, that little triangle there.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll add up to a half an acre though.
No. And how about where it says lot 1 for, right there at that area, right? Yeah, exactly, right there.
We can do it to the south of lot 1, like between lot 1 and lot 3.
Right.
We could certainly add quite a bit there.
Yeah.
Right there, to kind of where the land is.
I'm just thinking that if that would prevent kind of sprawling into the wetland by any development. Board members, let me know what you think.
I don't that slope actually do any good. I mean, people not build there.
It's a little one, isn't it? Right here is B.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's a stream that you can see the dotted black line. That's a little creek.
So
And
Peter, what we could do is
Here.
if you look at lot one there, if you look at the top of the page, I'm going to assume it's actually the north is to the right, but
Yeah.
if you look between Chestnut Hill Road and the initial buffer on lot one above the house, yeah, right in there, that strip right in there,
yeah,
we could include that to the road area and then jump over to the other side of the buffer on lot one up against lot three and add some in there.
right. I'm thinking to put the buffer around where we're developing so that there's a little more protection.
It's a little hard to see what the stream is. Is this the
It is. The
stream?
stream's dotted. It's a dotted black line.
Well,
Yeah,
it
you got
doesn't
it.
look,
Yeah, you're
oh,
on
it's
it.
kind of a loop. It makes a kind of a loop.
No,
that's
no,
correct.
listen, it's near that loop, but if
Oh,
you
it
actually go to the top of the page, you'll see where it says stream.
It comes down a little further.
Oh,
from
I
where
see
you're
it.
moving now.
Yeah, see?
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you
There
got
it
it
is.
now. Keep going. There you go. Now make
Yeah,
a turn to the
yeah.
road. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm thinking if we could protect that area more, because
Well, that's
what
all
they
in
proposed
wetlands
is
and
good,
buffer.
except that I don't think it needs protecting over there as much.
You mean on this side? It's sloped enough that it's really not going
Yeah,
to.
yeah. Well, but as Barry said, it would take both to get to the acreage, to get to the area. So you'd have to do it on both sides. I mean, us adding buffer doesn't have to be exactly all in the same place. You can break it up. And what Barry's suggesting, I think, is good to get it between Chestnut Hill and the existing wetland, and then on the
Now
other
the house
side.
is here, right?
Yeah,
So what is the house site? Because the stream is right behind it.
right. And that dotted green line is the buffer. So
You've got some land here that you could put a barn or something on. And that's about all there is, right?
right.
Or is this buffer here?
That's
Sorry.
out of the buffer, and I'm suggesting we create a buffer in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just did a quick calculation, Peter, in that area between Chestnut Hill and the buffer that's there now at the top of the map, that's only about a third of an acre. And so it's like 0.3 acres. So we would have to add area on the other side,
Right.
or somewhere else that, to at least get up to the half acre.
So you're talking about in here.
Right. Right. Exactly.
What about, is this all open?
That's all buffer.
That's all buffer.
Yeah, but then when you go to the left of that,
Right.
yeah, right there.
Yeah.
we could see how, if you drop down there, there's that little point in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see the green line? We could fill that in with buffer.
That's true. And that would protect this thing.
Right. Give a little more protection. It just means nobody can build a pool, or you can't develop there. That's all.
Yeah, this is a logical place.
So what does the board think about that?
Okay.
Yeah.
So Barry, are you good with that?
I'm sure. Is Michael there? He was on.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm okay with it.
Okay. So,
Peter?
so let me poll the board, or Stuart, did you have any questions on that?
I do. How do you propose to get this more concrete so that when we're done with implementing it, everybody knows what it is? Are you going to propose that Barry define something on the map for us to look at so we can see it in front of us, or are you going to do it verbally? I mean, how are you going to define it?
I would resubmit a map for sure. And it would be on the map that gets filed. It would show it as a restricted area. So it would be filed in the county clerk's office.
Would you be able, Barry, this is Stuart again, would you be able to indicate on this map revision the area size of the additional buffer so we could see that as well?
Yes,
Somehow, or a note or something.
I can do that, but I can't do it tonight. I don't.
No, I wouldn't expect it. I just want to understand what the
Yeah, I would
doing this.
Sure, I would revise the map to show the buffer area that we just discussed. And that would be on the map as a restricted area that would, you know, stipulate no construction. And that map gets filed with the county clerk that creates these lots. So it would be permanent and run with the land.
So we could approve this, you know, pending the map that Barry's gonna submit, but.
So you could do something like running it along the contour line in here and pick up a fair amount.
Sure. I'm thinking of bringing it up to contour 520 there.
Yeah, exactly what I would have suggested. Because that gives you quite a lot of space.
All right, so,
Peter, can I
Yeah.
ask one other question? In your view, would that be as much protection as we could reasonably add on?
well, the code says, you know, to at least match the square footage that's being disturbed.
Mhm.
And that's what we're doing. And you have to keep in mind that the applicant has agreed to basically protect
Right,
half of the entire property, or almost more than half of the
Right.
entire property from further development. So, like I said, this application is in two stages. We've already come to the conclusion that we're not going to develop the whole lower half.
Mhm.
And that was a major concession by the applicant and a major good thing for the environment.
Okay,
All this stuff down here, isn't it?
Right, all that's going to be left undeveloped forever. So, you know, I think the idea of these, this is basically a special use permit, and the idea of doing this is to, you know, protect the environment, but also to come to a agreement with the applicant, because, you know, we're not saying no, we're saying, can we do this? And that's the way these things get worked out, is a back and forth agreement, so that everybody can get the best possible results. So I think that, you know, if they give us if Barry says there's a half-acre disturbance, and remember, this disturbance is actually on an existing road. So it's not like, you know, really heavy disturbance. Yes, they have to put a proper road surface, but it's already a raised roadway. So it's less disturbance than if you were actually going to put a roadway through a buffer that didn't have a road on it. And I know we discussed adding vegetation. I know Matt was talking about adding vegetation on either side of the road, but Barry's point is true, that you just make more of a mess on either side of that road trying to do that. And so I think I think when they develop that road, if they do it as carefully as possible, then our best result is to get more protected area between the three houses. I think that's our best result we could ask for. So basically, we would agree to that. We would vote to accept this plan as a mitigation plan. And then Melissa can put that in the final
Resolution.
Right.
And it'll be pending Barry's final map showing that.
Right, we'd have to approve them. It'd be subject to his submitting a map that's acceptable
Right,
to the
be
board.
subject to that, but I'd like to get this part closed tonight so that we can agree that this is the mitigation and we've fulfilled the wetlands and watercourse permit process. So if you all agree, let's take a vote.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 So we've,
Nay,
who said nay?
Brian.
Okay. So we've fulfilled the obligation of the wetlands and watercourse permit. We also, so that's the end of that part of it. there were a few things that we got added to, which was, I believe we have the curb cut application approvals.
Yep.
For curb cuts. I think that was the only other outstanding thing. And I believe we have language that says that the rest of that land will not be developed. And I believe that's, hi, John, and I believe that's also to be in the final version.
Of the map?
Right.
Yeah.
So that what's proposed now is all that can be done on that property. So, Barry, do you have any other questions or things that you need to address?
No, I just want to point out, we haven't had a public hearing yet.
No, we gotta schedule that.
That we will do now that we've taken care of the wetland issue. So now we can get, Melissa can schedule a public hearing for final approvals. Unless anybody on the board has any other things that they think we haven't addressed.
I just want to express my appreciation to Michael Stumpus for working with us on this and leaving so much of that land undisturbed. I think that's a very good outcome.
Yes, I definitely agree.
Peter, I have a question. This is Stuart. So is a public hearing required on a wetland watercourse permit application, or is it only on this, on the
Subdivision.
subdivision? So there's no
Both.
hearing required?
Both. We're doing them both.
At the same time?
Yes.
Right. So has the planning board, have you asked us to vote on approving the permit before the public hearing? Shouldn't we hear from the public?
Well, what we approved on was the mitigation. That's going to have language in the resolution. This was the mitigation between the applicant and the planning board, so we can move forward with the watercourse permit, and then I'll be able to schedule the public hearing. And then, like we usually do, we'll have conditions, which will be the final drawings that Barry's going to draw. Did that sound right?
I appreciate that explanation because you're deeply involved in the process, and I'm still trying to catch up.
Okay.
But
Sorry.
after these years, no, I should know better, no more. But so, okay, so we've just given the green light on the arrangement for the additional mitigation, but then the permits still have to be heard by the public, and then we would take a vote on that. Is that right? Okay, thank you for clearing that up.
Anybody else have questions regarding this application? Barry, you good?
I'm good. I'll get your map right away so that we can schedule a public hearing, hopefully for your next meeting. I know Michael wants to build his house there.
We'll talk. I'm not sure what's going to happen with the governor and open meetings and all that, so I have to keep my eyes on that with scheduling and doing the notifications for the public hearing. So as soon as I can figure it out, I'll let you know.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, everybody. And again, I thank the applicant for, as Judy said, for, making this work out for everybody, because it's a win for the environment. That's for sure.
Melissa,
Thank you.
Can we require vaccination for people who come to public meetings in person?
I don't know what's going to happen, Judy.
Okay. By law, you can't ask anybody if they've been vaccinated, so.
Really?
I'm not going to get around that. All right, Barry. Well, thank you. And
I'm not going anywhere, actually.
Oh, here.
That room, we'd have to open all the windows and require masks.
He's our star of the meeting tonight, Barry.
All right. So now we have something that's, I don't know if you call it less complicated, but when you look at it, it's going to be interesting. This is a sketch plan review, a second sketch plan review for the Bearsville Center, which is special use 21-0141E. And this is a sketch plan review to discuss the county referral of a site plan application for site plan modifications to existing site plan to expand parking lot and make improvements including entrance and lighting in the NC zoning district located at 277, 297 Tinker Street. So this will definitely need somebody to get the plot up that Barry's done.
Can't figure out which connection, which attachment it is.
Hey, I got the next item on the.
I have it if anybody wants
I'll call
it.
you back when I'm done with that, okay?
Oh, wait a minute, did I find it here? I think I found it.
Thanks, Lizzie.
I was just, if I share my screen.
Oh, I've got it. It's all right.
Right, right.
It's the landscaping and lighting plan, right?
Yep, I think that's.
Okay, I've got it up. There it is. Everybody see it?
Yeah. Okay, so Barry, why don't you explain, whoops, it disappeared. Why don't you explain what's going on here?
Well, the applicant actually provided this. I'm looking at it really just like you guys are, and I'm wondering if Kim or Lizzie wants to talk about what the reason they added. They're basically adding trees.
Hi.
The different zones.
Okay, well, just a second before you do that, Liz, let me just cover a couple of points regarding this.
Sure.
One is the grave site for Albert and the right-of-way, which you have on the map shown, which is going to be protected and honored, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
The other issue was drainage, stormwater drainage from the parking lots. Engineering wise, that water is going into dry wells, I assume.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have some recharge basins. There's when you get just beyond the new parking lot area, there's some depressions in the ground, which are probably from old stream washouts where the water is quite gravelly and coarse, and we're probably going to recharge a lot of it back in there. We still have to put that formal plan together because our disturbance is over an acre. We have to do this in accordance with the state stormwater regulations and have to prepare a full stormwater pollution prevention plan. We, we've looked at that. We have kind of a concept as how we're going to do that, but we haven't actually produced the formal plan yet. I really wanted to get feedback from the planning board as to how we're laying out the parking lot, the number of spaces we have, and all the other features before we did all those calculations, because they're quite tedious. And if we start moving things around, I'd have to do them over.
I got you. Okay, and then the other issue, of course, was the curb cut approval and the state.
Yeah, I have some news on that from DOT. We sent them a map, a while ago, and I guess it was probably about 2 weeks ago. They called me and met me out there, and they basically don't want us to put any curbing along the whole frontage, and the little bit of curb that's up there now coming off of the bridge. They want us to take that out because it's you can see it's problematic if you walk along there with their drainage. So they're okay with the way we show the entrances. They had a couple of suggestions on dimensions of them, which we revised, and so they're ready to issue us a permit for just basically paving the entrances the way we show them on the plan here. So we're going to eliminate the one exit. You don't see it on this map, but there's an exit now that's out right in the front center. And we're going to create a new major entrance, which is kind of show that brings everybody right into the main parking lot area. And then they also wanted us the one building, shop building, all the way to the east. There it's kind of like an open, uncontrolled access from the highway. They want us to restrict that down to just a single driveway width.
Okay.
So right now, it's just continuous from the lawn out into the shoulder?
In front of that shop building on the east, yes, it's and actually I had pictures where it went right across the whole front of the building, which is not there now. There's grass growing there now, but they just want us to define a very specific area in that location.
No, I was asking more generally. I never noticed whether there was curb out there or not. So this whole area.
Curb. the curb is, it just runs down. So if you go all the way up to the bridge, all the way to the western end, there's curbing that comes along the frontage past the first building there, and then you have that entrance there. That's curbed, and then it goes just a little bit beyond that. But most of the curb is buried under the shoulder. You only see the top of it. There's not even a face. So they want us to just take that out, put in the paved entrances, pretty much as I show, and not do any more curbing.
Okay. So before Liz gets going, let me ask members of the board, any members of the board, if they have questions regarding the whole site plan proposal.
Sorry.
Any member can ask.
Peter?
Yeah.
Yeah, are there any elevations on here?
Not on this sheet, but the other sheets there are.
Would you like to see them, John? Or
Well,
I think Barry's got some sheets that would show that.
Have to figure out how to get them.
If you go to sheet 1, that shows the parking lot. But this plan here really was to illustrate the plantings they want to put in. If you go to sheet 1,
I've got to figure out what I did wrong with this control. Let me see if I can get my controls back here.
Can I just say that it's highest in the top left corner and lowest in the bottom right corner, and the difference in height is about 25 feet from one end of the car lot to the other. So we've had a lot of runoff. You've probably heard we've had a lot of runoff coming off the mountains, coming off the road, hitting the buildings in the top left, and then washing down. And we have trenched around every building and tried to trench in front of the Peterson house to control this water. We actually have a proper elevation map that looks at every 6 inches, and but it's you don't have it, so I'd have to dig that out.
They have, but Lizzie, they have. If they go to sheet 1, it shows contours.
Okay, I'm going to have to do something different here because this is showing me that there's just one page in that. So
that was the most recent submission. You have to go back to the prior submission. This was just added as a landscape plan. We had submitted the maps earlier.
Okay. Do you know what the name of that document is? Melissa, do you know what the name of the document is?
No.
Well,
maybe I have it and I can do a screen share, but somebody needs to help me do it.
Get out of the way here.
Okay.
Thanks, Lizzie. You're the best.
Right, we're trying. Okay, so
at the bottom of the screen.
If I bring, at the bottom of the screen, yeah.
It says share screen, and you got it, girlfriend.
Right. Okay. So that's sheet 1.
I would say, so just blow that up a little if you can.
So then up at the top of the screen, you can see like a zoom button. You want to make that higher.
And we can do that for ourselves too. View options.
Okay. All righty. Let's try this. Zooming in. Okay. Oops. Oh, God. Okay.
You're doing fine. You're doing great.
It doesn't want to get any bigger. I'm really sorry. Oh, there we go. There.
Yeah, you're doing it.
Okay.
Now
you can see those kind of circular contours coming, well, semicircular contours coming left to right and top to bottom.
All right, John, does that help?
Down toward the stream.
Yeah, everything flows down towards the stream. It flows from the top left corner to the bottom right corner.
Well, actually, the Sawkill Creek is on the left.
Yeah, it is, but it's still lower as you go down off the site there.
Yes.
Okay, board members, questions about the plan?
Now the parking lots are gravel?
The dark gray is blacktop and the light gray is gravel.
Okay.
And we're going to take some existing parking lot out. If I could talk you through the plan a little bit.
Sure.
So just looking at the image that's there now, if you go over to the Utopia building, which is the one whole building you see there, and with the parking all around it, and that's going to be paved all the way around. Well, the lower end of that big green area, that's actually gravel parking now, and we're going to turn that into like a lawn area. So they have a nicer outside lawn area that's closer to the buildings. And we're adding some additional parking up. If you look at the main inch, if you could slide up the sheet a little bit to the highway.
Okay.
Yeah, over and then just up. Yeah, there you go, right there. If you look at coming in the main entrance there, the two-way entrance, which is going to be paved, when you come in there and off to the left as you enter, which is right on the drawing, there's going to be a parking lot there. And there's also a new maintenance building there that's in yellow. And then that parking area just below it too is new.
Can I explain why there is more parking? I think, and I get the words wrong, so forgive me, but I think that there previously was not enough parking because there was occupancy of the buildings that had not been, I don't know if it's permitted or whatever, it hadn't conformed. And the two major changes of that are quite a big change to the Utopia building, which used to be Radio Woodstock and had a very low occupancy because that was offices. And the soundstage, although it was occasionally used for public events, didn't have any occupancy. I think maybe 2 people were supposed to be in there. And we have applied and said that this could be used for public space. So it could be a theatre could take a production there, or a yoga class could have its exercise classes there. So that occupancy has gone up quite a bit. And the theatre itself, I think because Albert Grossman, this is what I've heard, Albert Grossman didn't always get his permits. So the town felt that they had to be very strict with him about occupancy. And now we have gone through the whole place and obtained the right permits and made the right exits. Excuse me. We've now, the occupancy of that has risen slightly. The other buildings are hardly any different at all. But because we have those increased occupancies and because there was never enough car parking in the first place, there is a need for more spaces.
And what there was very disorganized. So this is a real major change.
We anticipate that the blacktop will be used on a daily basis and that the grey areas will be used maybe at the weekends when the restaurants are all full, and certainly on an event at the theatre night at the weekends.
So there's what we'll need, Melissa will need for the resolution is a parking calculations.
It's on the map actually.
Okay.
It's on the sheet 1, which this doesn't have all of sheet 1 on it. This is one that.
No, I did a screen grab. I'm really sorry.
Yeah, we'll go to the left. Oh, there you go. There it is. It's there. See the chart? It is there. That is the parking analysis right there, and it shows the use of each building, the capacity of each building, and how much parking, to show that we now comply. Okay. So we spent a lot of time working on this chart and the buildings and their capacity and uses.
Very good, because that's critical for us to have. So does any member of the board have questions regarding the parking in general?
I don't know if you normally put handicap spaces on those charts. I know you've got them.
Yeah, we do.
Yes, we have. And they're right at the top near the buildings.
Yeah.
I just wonder if they should be on the chart.
I think we state on the very bottom of the chart, we show how much we need.
But I think they are, Judy. I'm just
you zero in on it.
Just okay. You see the areas with the dots just here?
There's a total of 16 ADA spaces that is required based on the total number of spaces.
You see the areas with the shading next to them?
Oh, yeah, I know exactly what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
That's basically van parking. If you can get the locals to keep from going in the shaded areas.
Well, we will put up signs and we will police it.
Yeah.
Which brings up another point, Barry. Do you have a sheet of all your signage that you're going to have?
There is a sheet. I might have to pass back to Melissa or Judy because there is sheet 3 on the site plan review submission. It has the signage on it.
Okay, because I mean, in the resolution, we need to know all the signage.
Well, this is a sketch plan, isn't it?
Yes, I think that's what it's called.
So you have you know, this is basically, you're ahead of the game as far as what you already got.
I'm just going to try and open it. So excuse me a minute.
You're doing great.
Oy, okay, so.
Yeah, if you could get sheet 3 up there, it does show all the signage.
So you have one way, you have, whatever signs are going to be on the site. And of course, the sign on the road for your place has to meet the town sign specs.
I'm really sorry. I have to find an email from my colleague. She sent it to me today. I'm just doing that now. And then, oh my goodness, are you seeing my screen? I've got all sorts of
okay. You're doing great.
Quotes, weddings. Oh Lord. Tavern. Oh, here we go. Site plan. Right. Okay. So I'm going to open this up and I'm going to go to sheet 3. I think it is, Barry. Okay.
Yes.
There. So can you see that, or do I need to do that little thing again? Can you see it?
Okay, it has your main signs, but I mean, signs that say one way, or are you going to have directional signs for parking?
We don't show that yet, but we can. The board wants us to detail that. We certainly can.
Well, we generally like to have a map of all the signs that are going to be.
So it's a traffic control sign?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, we can do that.
Peter?
Yep.
Question for Barry. The existing blacktop that you're showing, none of that exists today, or
No.
some of what?
No, it's all gravel and sometimes mud.
Yeah.
And the
mud.
There's a tiny
would
little
be-
bit at the top, but it's been so worn away by erosion and the weather. It wasn't worth putting on. It's probably about 20 square feet, something like that.
and the proposed permeability of that blacktop?
Well, when we do our drainage calculations, we even assume that the gravel surfaces are not, they're impervious. Because what happens is it gets so compacted and you get so many fines in there, it clogs right up. And when you get a heavy storm, it just runs right off. It doesn't soak into the ground. So with our calculations for the, when we do that for the SWIP, we're going to assume all of the gravel areas are impervious and all the buildings are impervious and account for that.
Liz, can you put the main screen back up, the plan back up, just so the board members can take a look? Thanks.
Thank you.
Now, you mentioned stormwater coming down the hills and something about ditches, and I'm wondering whether, Barry, you probably know the answer to this, whether rain gardens are going to do the job for you.
Yeah, we're gonna size them for that. Probably some, not so much just rain gardens, but water quality basins, like a big basin area that can handle a lot of water before it soaks into the ground. But what Liz did is she put a lot of sub drainage in around the buildings, around the footings, and they picked up all of the leaders from the roofs and they piped it, and they pipe it all the way down to the back of the site now. So that was a major improvement over what was there, because
Wonderful.
prior to that, there was nothing. Water would come right off of the highway, it would come off of the buildings, and it would just lay there around the buildings and just create big mud holes. So she's got a pretty good handle on the improvements she made over the past year on around all the buildings. So what I need to do,
we spent $250,000 on something I never heard of before called mold remediation because the water went in the basement and everything was in a terrible mess. So something I'd never heard of, we had to do. It was great. And that will no longer happen. The mold will no longer appear.
So what I will be doing, will be taking it the next step and handle all the drainage from the whole parking area and show that complies with today's standards for stormwater pollution prevention.
Okay. And the other thing we need either cut sheets for on the plans or all your lighting, which of course have to be dark sky compliant.
Yeah, we did that already.
Okay. And do you have lighting for the parking areas?
Yes. Yeah, you can see them right on this sheet. Well, there you go. There's the photometrics.
Okay.
You can say we did a total photometric plan for the whole parking lot and even around the buildings. And there's a nice detail. So all the old lighting is going to get pulled out and it's going to get all new lighting. if you go to that detail sheet we had up before, you can see there's the lamp fixture right there. There's that's one on the building, and we have the higher flat ones will be in the parking area, and the ones with the gooseneck are closer around the buildings.
Okay, so here, this one here. So hang on, I'll make it a bit bigger. Whoops.
And the photometrics.
Well, here we go.
Oh, yeah, okay. So they won't spread out onto the highway, correct?
No. You can see that right on the plan. That's why we do the photometrics to show we're not spreading any light off site.
Okay. Board members, other questions regarding site plan?
Color me impressed.
Now, one thing we need is we're going to need a couple of volunteers to do a site visit. And according to the new law, we can have as many as you want go.
Really?
Well, it's not a new law, it's the old law. I just never read that you can have over a quorum actually go. But we will need a couple of site.
We'd love to have you. We'd love to show you. We can show you the theatre as well if you'd like to come inside.
Peter, I'll volunteer.
So
I'll volunteer too.
volunteers. Get
One from me.
one for John.
Brian will volunteer too.
Brian will go. Okay, I'll go because it's down the bottom of my hill. In fact, I was there yesterday.
I don't know if I want to walk around outside the car because that's a little too difficult for
Well,
me.
you can drive around that lot.
I definitely can drive around the property, so I might come and just.
That's
I'm
what I
going to
just
the
did.
theater.
Just drove around. So John or anybody think of something that we haven't addressed that we need to address for a site plan?
Could I raise something, please?
Sure.
I don't know if this is the right time, so you can tell me to go away. But there are a few issues that we would like to raise with you earlier now in the process because it's the spring. And I have a little presentation. Here it is. Hang on, I have to put it on the slideshow. So can you see that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the site plan. There are 5 areas that we have some issues with, and they're to do with the timing. And I don't, again, forgive me if I get this wrong. One is that we would like to have the gardens behind the theatre open to the public for the summer, obviously complying with COVID guidelines, but we would like to have them open. And I believe we have to ask for permission to do that. And I will take you through each of these. We need to put a wall around the bluestone patio in order for the State Liquor Authority to be happy. We would like to put a dumpster pad down before the bears wake up. And we've covered a little about lighting, and we're doing something on landscaping. I think that might come up later. But if I just, right. So the open gardens, we are hearing, if you look at the blue area there, Governor Cuomo has said that for social gatherings, there can be 100 people inside the theatre or 200 people outside. I think it's maybe both actually, but the worry about both is that they would mix. So we are going to restrict it to 100 people inside. And a lot of people do not want to come inside, even with the masks, even with the vaccination. I think it's going to take us all some time to feel comfortable. So being able to open the gardens outside is pretty essential. We are hurting very badly financially. Last summer we did 6 summer weekends. This summer we are proposing to do 9, I think it is. It's from July through to the 2nd week in September. We are working with our neighbours. We are going to install a noise meter, a decibel meter, and we would restrict the hours to 8 o'clock or earlier in the evening, probably 6 o'clock actually, because people, this is not a bar. This is not people hanging out till midnight. This is something where we're going to have bluegrass music and barbecue food. So it's definitely an earlier in the day event. We do have temporary fencing that's already installed, and that's because we have to count people in and out, and we have to have a place where we can take their temperatures and their contact details. This is what the State Liquor Authority asks us for. They say, how is your outdoor area contained? And it can be fencing, wall, shrubbery, roping stanchions, or something else. This is our proposed decibel meter that would be hanging on the wall, so all members of the public could see it, and we would limit our decibels to 100 decibels or less, which is if you're in our garden, which is quite a long way from the road, if a lorry goes past, you can hear that. and it's much higher than 100 decibels, so it's actually quiet. And we have worked with our neighbors. There's a gentleman called John Henry Cox that lives behind us, and he raised this with us. So we lowered it to 100 decibels by using a handheld meter last year, and he was happy with that. So we know now that we think we're controlling the sound. This is a fence post to show how temporary it is. Normally a fence post would go into a metal jacket and would be in the ground in the jacket with concrete in it. We haven't got concrete, we haven't got the metal jacket. And as soon as Governor Cuomo says there are no numerical COVID restrictions, we will, I really want to take this fence down. So that's a key thing for us. And this is, for those of you that haven't seen it, this is what we did last summer. We had some people in the gardens on Saturdays and Sundays. So that was topic one.
Liz, just two things that come to mind. Your first question was timing.
Yes.
Technically, no work can be done on a site while it's under site plan review.
Yes.
So the fastest we get this approved, the fastest you can do things.
Yes.
Because technically, no work should be done on a site that's under site plan review until it's been approved. Secondly, that fence we're looking at in that picture is going right through the right-of-way easement, which is technically a violation.
Yes.
And
if I could just explain what happened with that, that was totally unintentional. We tried to get a surveyor before we knew we had to put the fence up because of the coronavirus. We tried to get a surveyor to come out in May last year, and I think even in June, as we were planning for it, and nobody would come. So we got the plan out that you've seen, and we measured it all out ourselves, and we left lots of space on the other side of the fence for access to the grave. And we thought that we'd done it because there's a well marked on the plan, and we stayed to, anyway, I guess when Sally brought the surveyors out, we had unintentionally gone over her right of way. So of course we would take it down. She had access obviously on the other side. And I know that Natalie has complained about it, but there's a whole bunch of issues that are being talked about within that litigation, which we probably shouldn't talk about here. But you should rest assured that I absolutely want it to not be a problem. And as soon as I can take that fence down, I will. I would take it down today if I could.
Well, you don't have to take, you just have to move it out of the right of way.
Well,
because
if you look
that
at that
right of way is a legal right of way.
Yes.
And
if you look at that photograph there, that would mean coming halfway across the garden.
in other words, basically the fence is on somebody else's property, and that's a violation. So as far as approving the site plan, we have to make sure the violation is corrected.
Okay.
So in order to move us forward, number one, I have to make sure that no planning board members have any more questions or concerns. We have to do a site visit, and then we have to get you scheduled for a public hearing.
Yes.
So, Melissa, why don't you step in here and see if you can lay out a plan of action.
Okay. Can you hear me? I lost internet at the town, so I'm on my phone. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, great. So I think it would be good if we scheduled a site visit, and then whoever volunteers to go for the site visit just lets me know. And Barry's got a few things paperwork wise he needs to get us, and then we could probably set up a public hearing if you guys are on board, if the planning board agrees.
Planning board, how do you feel?
Agree.
Stuart, it sounds good to me.
Yep.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
You need a motion to set it down for a public hearing, Peter, or just do it?
Melissa?
First take care of the site visit. Who wants to be volunteers for the site visit?
We
So
did that.
we did that already, and John,
Oh, I'm sorry, while I was trying to load Zoom. Okay,
Brian and John.
because of Governor Cuomo, and I don't know what the schedule will be, and if we're gonna be extended, I will schedule the public hearing as soon as I can. I'll be in touch with everybody.
Okay, Melissa, I have one question for you. There was a letter regarding zoning issues in which you said they were all zoning issues and not planning board issues. Do those issues have to be addressed before we can go forward, or?
When I came on, it was really about the fence, and it seems like Lizzie's willing to do that. So I think you addressed it.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted to be sure.
And I'm pretty sure Natalie Sear is on the phone, so she will definitely email me if she has any concerns, and I'll let you guys know. And she's more than welcome to come to the public hearing when we schedule it.
Okay.
Peter,
All right,
can I make a
well,
comment?
go ahead.
John, I'll contact you after the meeting in the next day or so if that's okay with you, and then we'll decide whether we'll go out there together or independently. How's that sound?
Fine, Brian, excellent.
Okay, thank you.
So, Liz, I just want to say that, you know, the town is really glad that you're fixing this place up and it's not going to sit a derelict mess forever. So, you know, we're really glad you're going to make it nice.
Thank you.
And we're going to try to help you do it as quick as you can.
So if I take the fence down, which we'll do next week.
You can just move it over. I think it's 5 feet, you know, where I put the stakes in. If you just move it to the other side of the stake, then you'll be in compliance.
So we'll do that next week. And I guess that the key thing for us is that in 8 weeks' time, it's Memorial Day. And we would like to be able to have the public come in at that point. And I'm not sure with your planning calendars whether or not that's even possible. I mean, I know there's nothing I can't do about it, but is there any way that we could, I don't know, what do I need to do to speed it up?
Probably best bet is probably to ask the building inspector.
Right. You
know, she'd be that'd be your best bet, because it's really not our purview.
Okay.
But talk to the building inspector. I mean, I know that businesses can operate, you know, during review. Just technically, you're not supposed to be able to be doing changes during review, but that's up to the building inspector. That's not we don't enforce things. So is everybody on the planning board okay with where we are with this?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right, Melissa. So
thank you very much. I'll stop sharing my screen if I can work out how to do that.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Lizzie. You did wonderful with sharing a screen.
Thank you. I'm going to pause share. I hope that works. Okay.
we'll move you as fast as we can.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Barry.
Thank you, Barry.
All right, yeah, thanks, Barry.
Y'all have a good night.
Okay.
Good night.
Good.
Okay, so unfinished business.
I still have a screen. I can see you guys.
Yeah, Lizzie, you can leave the meeting and it might go away.
Okay. I think it happened. Okay. Bye.
Bye, Lizzie. Thank you.
Good night.
Stuart, if you're there, if you'd be so kind as to make a motion to adopt the draft addendum to the resolution for the Mountain Realty. Remember, this is an addendum. It was just, we already had it done, but they changed the outside of that one building.
Something's not right here.
Can you hear me now?
There you go.
I was muted. I apologize. Okay, so I make a motion to SPR number 18-0364A Mountain Meadow Realty to adopt the draft addendum that's pending to a resolution for Mountain Meadow Realty.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Was that Brian who seconded?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, now we need a motion to approve the credits for Judith for attending the Critical Environmental Areas webinar on the 23rd, and for Brian for attending the New York Planning Federation Communication, Media, and Social Media on March 24th.
So
Do
moved.
I hear a second?
Second.
All in
Thank
favor?
you.
Aye.
Okay, now we need a motion to approve the draft memos, and Melissa was upset that nobody had written back to her how they felt about it. And this is on the fill law that Stuart did some work on and Judy did some work on and came up with a final memo.
It's two of them. It's the fill law and the moratoriums.
I thought I responded on that.
I did too, but anyway.
Everyone did but one person, and I'm
Oh,
going to
okay.
leave them unnamed.
So as far as the fill law goes, basically we are saying that the planning board fills are not equipped to assess the grade fill to be used and disagree with the responsibility that we don't have expertise in. And as I pointed out, basically we're saying if a site plan requires a septic permit, then we get the approval from the county and we're good. If a site plan requires a fill permit, we get the permit from the building department and we're good. I don't, I agree with the memo. I don't think that we have to do anything more than accept the permit. So do we all agree to the fill memo?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Perfect.
The moratorium one.
Good luck on that.
Judy did good work on that one.
Yeah.
Trying to figure it out what we were really trying to say. Now that we know what the moratorium is about,
Well,
it's nice to know when he asks our opinion.
Still not clear because the last wording I saw in the moratorium said all development, period. It didn't say STRs, it didn't say hotels, it just said all development, which would mean everything would have to shut down.
Yeah, but like people building a house up on the mountain that we already
Right.
agreed.
And I had the town board meeting or the heads of department heads meeting today. And it came up and I asked Bill specifically, I said, don't we have a cap on the STRs and haven't we met it? And he said, yes. So issue done. You can't get any more STRs than what we have. So
Incidentally, Peter, I'm getting information from Melissa and I've got some from Butch that I haven't put in yet. But when I'm done, we will be able to see where they are on the map and who is whether they're owner occupied or not. And I'm also adding what I can find out about hotels and inns that already exist, but I don't know if I know where they all are.
Excellent, Judy.
Oh, sorry.
Excellent, Judy. In fact, at the meeting today, a couple of the members are going to request that map from you because that's very interesting. And
You will see that a great deal of what's clustered in the hamlet is non-owner occupied.
So back to the moratorium. Does the board agree with our memo to send to the town? All agree?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, guys. I'll get them out next
Can I
week.
ask a question?
Sure.
So are you not allowing any more STRs then?
If some, well, Melissa can answer that.
Yeah, I was like, Peter, you want to take it or me too? When they put the law into place, the town board put the law into place, and it was basically for the purpose to regulate. They had a number, and they've met the cap, and that goes through the building department, not the planning board. The zoning enforcement officer does all of that with the short-term rentals. And whatever cases we are seeing now have already been accounted for in that cap. At some point within the next year, it's the cap's been met. It's done.
Okay, so if my application was in, then it is part of, it hasn't been voted on yet. Is that what I'm understanding?
Were you in contact with Butch and were you inspected?
Yes.
Did you pay me $100 application fee?
Yes, and you cashed it.
Then yes, you are accounted for. What's
Thank
your
you.
name? I'll probably.
Jenny Maddock.
Yes, you're good. You're in the cat. You were late coming in, so you were at the bottom of the pile. There was about 150 cases in the planning board that we are working through.
Okay, and it could take up to a year to get it.
Yes. But you can operate. This wasn't supposed to, like Butch was supposed to tell you you can operate.
Okay, I thought I could only do long-term rentals.
Then you need to talk to Butch in the zone, in the building department.
I will talk to Butch then, thank you.
Because that's not my understanding. Only long-term rentals were if you weren't in the process. So please give Butch a call, and if not, give my office a call, and I'll do whatever I can to figure it out.
All right, I appreciate that, thank you.
Okay, Jenny, you're welcome.
Okay.
Sorry, guys.
Okay, so we've taken through the memo. So the last thing we have is Melissa's STRs.
Hey, Peter, can I interrupt for a second? Sorry, Melissa, this is Stuart. What is the present cap? What's the number? Is it 250? Is it what? Can you refresh me on that? Does anybody know?
Peter, did you hear in the meeting today? I want to say it's different for owner occupied and non-owner occupied, but Butch would know. I can send an email and get you the exact numbers.
Yeah, in the meeting today, someone brought up that it was in the paper that there were 800.
No.
Bill went, no, I don't think so.
No.
So,
I think it might be around 300.
I think it's around 300.
At one point it was like 323, one point I had 340, so it's around 300.
And do we know how many have actually been issued?
Well, I don't, because some go through the building department and some go through us. So until I'm done, I won't have that number.
I have the list that Butch gave me, and I'm assuming those are all approved.
Right, but is anyone keeping an eye on that? It's getting close to 300 or not? I mean,
Oh, they met the cap. They're done.
They're
They're
showing
done
up,
taking
yeah.
applications.
That's all done.
It's done.
yeah. Okay. And one other question. I noticed that at the last meeting, one of our members voted no on the request to approve these resolutions. And I found that intriguing. Do we have discretion to vote no, or what's people's thought on that as a board? Because I was kind of jealous.
the whole thing about STRs is it really has nothing to do with the planning board. I mean, the building department is the one that approves the house, approves the parking, approves everything, and monitors it and enforces it. But unfortunately, it's called a special use permit, which requires a public hearing. And that's the only reason the board's involved. We don't have anything to say about the parking, anything.
I get calls and emails all day now that these are in front of me.
Stuart, John,
Yeah.
it's, yes, of course, I'm the one that said nay last time. And when they come up tonight, I will do that again. The reason being that I really feel that this has gone above and beyond when it comes to what STR should be. And I know they put a cap on it, but we still have our discretion as far as a board to limit the special use.
I'm not, go ahead, John, I'm sorry.
No, that's really it.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm sympathetic.
Non-owner occupied has gone too far.
Agreed.
I don't have the count yet. After Melissa and I get all the information compiled, we will know what the numbers are.
Yeah. And you know, I mean, majority of the board, like, I don't know what we're gonna do if we have more nays. I mean, I can put the one nay in and we can do it. It's majority. I mean, you guys know this got lapped onto you, and I'm doing everything I can to move them along as fast as I can.
Listen,
I really am.
That's not an issue, and the minutes should reflect everybody's vote one way or another, so that they're accurate.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm wondering if the nays get to be a majority and an owner that asserts right to comply with the building department's requirements and get their permit. If they get turned down, are we inviting a lawsuit? And I don't necessarily want to do that, but I don't know. That's why I'm bringing it up, just for discussion.
No, I appreciate it, Stuart. I had the same thought.
My thought has been that next year, when there's a history and they have to renew, if there have been problems on a property, then we might indeed have legal grounds for saying no. But I never felt like we had grounds to say no this time around. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
I agree with Judy.
Well, John feels differently.
I don't agree.
All right.
Okay.
I mean, we have
That's-
responsibilities. Sorry, John.
You know, I think the non-owner occupied has gone too far.
Is it beyond the number that the law allows?
Well, if you fundamentally believe the law is wrong, then you would not like the number at all, wouldn't you? And
Well,
so
I
if
agree with you
you
on
believe that the law was incorrect in the way it was constructed to begin with, then that's my position.
Well, I want to add a wrinkle to it. I think that our hoteliers at Woodstock Way own a few of them, and at least one of them was advertised as part of the hotel.
But I totally agree with John that the owner unoccupied SDRs is ridiculous, because this started out many, many years ago in Woodstock when they didn't want a hotel and they wanted to have theater and so on. And they encouraged folks that had an extra bedroom to do it wasn't Airbnb back then, but to do a B&B if you had an extra bedroom in your house. And that's what it was all about. It wasn't about buying a house to go for a tournament. It was people that had an extra room, and and that was how it worked until this new law came. So I agree with John, but here we are. We've got a cap, and I hope that's the end of it. So Melissa, you can give us the last 15 of them or whatever it is.
I only managed 5 this week. All right, here's the 5 for this week. SUP number 21-0601, Nina and James Dunlavy. SUP number 21-0602, Walter and Stacy Keurig. SUP number 21-0603, Dror Ashwa. SUP number 21-0604, Aaron Flaherty. SUP number 21-0605, Catherine M. Johnson.
Do I hear a second?
I didn't hear a motion.
Oh, sorry.
Somebody moving that those all be approved?
I just did.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, I know John is a nay. How
All
about
in
everybody
favor?
else?
We got to get a vote here. All in favor? All opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay.
All right, who's
One
naying me?
one quick additional comment. What this has done to the long-term rental market in Woodstock is disastrous. And that's one of my main objections, is that people who just want to rent long-term don't stand a prayer in this town right now.
One of the reasons I started mapping it,
Okay,
John,
hold on. I need a count, guys, and everybody was talking. So I know John is a nay. All right, James Conrad,
Yay.
Brian,
Nay.
Peter,
Yes.
Stuart,
Nay.
Whoa.
Judy.
yes.
Peter.
Guys, somebody do, oh, Connor.
Nay.
Oh, wow.
All right, I might have a problem. I don't know what I'm gonna do with these.
Well, ask the town board.
Yep, okay.
They threw it in our lap and now they
Well,
just.
you know what? This might be on hold, because if this is where you guys are going, I'm not gonna continue to process.
But how is this fair for all the people who've already been approved and now these people can't be approved?
Which is why
I find that to
the
be
number
bad.
changed before, James. Yep.
It's just not fair. It's not fair to them. I mean, they did everything they were asked to do. Everybody else got approved. suddenly we're getting on a high horse about this, which we have reasons to, but I just don't think it's fair.
Are these all owner occupied?
No.
Ah,
May I make a comment?
None of them are owner occupied. If they come to us, they're inherently non-owner occupied.
No. If they're owner occupied above 3 bedrooms, we see them. It's all based on the table and the planning in the town code.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's right. That's right. If they're a
So there
certain size.
are a small amount of owner occupied.
In tonight's
have
motions? I thought
There's 1 or 2 tonight that are owner occupied. Yes. Do I know which one off the top of my head? No.
well, if that's the case, I don't want to do a blanket no, because I thought these were all non-owner occupied, and that is an issue in the town. So I'm going to ask that we revote this.
Do this. I think I'd say, yeah, let's revote it. But also, I mean, maybe it's time that we be a little more discerning. I'm not saying it's on anybody in particular, but I think knowing that and to separate them based just on owner occupancy would be something we could draw a line down and have something to stand on.
Okay, but these were within the cap that was set by the town board.
Yeah, we already agreed on this.
Peter, yeah, back me up.
that's why I voted yes.
So do you want to do the vote again?
I don't know. I want you guys to feel strongly about what you're doing, and I understand.
Well, like you said, Melissa, there's a cap. We've reached the cap. We agreed to that, and no more. That's a fact. But
The reason
Honestly,
James,
there's
I agree with James. It's unfair to the ones that got it, but
everybody else.
Well, I would make a motion to the planning board to reopen and reconduct the vote that was just done on these proposed STR resolutions for tonight. And the reason I would do that is because I was under the misimpression that these were all non-owner occupied. And so I'm prepared to have a revote if the board is in favor of that.
So moved.
And I'd like to speak to the motion after we decide before we actually vote.
Yeah, so moved.
So moved.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed to the revote? Nobody opposed. Okay. My comment is, I think if we're close to the cap being reached, I would like for future purposes to know on the ones that are presented to us for vote, which ones are non-owner occupied versus which ones are owner occupied, because that's an important factor.
I will add that in now. Like every time I give it to you, I will add that in. I do plan, like I told Judy, after I'm going to go through them all. And what I will also do this week is I'm going to count how many we have left, and I'm going to check with Butch in the building department, and I'm going to give you guys a number. So we know how many more we have to see of this until we've processed our amount of cases that were in the cap, that were included in the cap. So you guys know how many more times we're going to see this.
I would like to make a point. The reason I started mapping this is because where they are is at least as important as how many. And I don't think that the town board thought about that at all. And if I were to share screen right now and show you what I have, which is only about 120 or so, you would see that they're almost all within 2 or 3 miles of the green. It's clustered. And in the hamlet, it's almost all non-owner occupied. And we need to look at the impact neighborhood wise, not just totals, because we've got a lot of ground in Woodstock.
Agreed.
And I'm really hopeful that, like Judy and I putting our heads together and doing this, we're going to have a great map. Like her and I talked about it in the beginning. I'm sorry that this fell on you and this was how that the law was wrote. I really am.
And I'm sorry that it didn't occur to me that I needed to distinguish the non-occupied from the occupied.
Well, I don't think we have to
added the hotels.
I don't think we have to keep apologizing on this. We have nothing to apologize for. We're trying to do our job. But I mean, I'm worried that when all is said and done, when the map is done, it's going to show a number of irreversible permissions given for the lots in question to have forever these short-term rentals. And because don't they run with the land if they get a special use permit? And,
Yes.
And so, you know, if
Ownership.
You know,
they have 30 days to transfer. If they don't do it within 30 days, it's null and void. That's for our department, that's for our special use permit, and then coinciding with the building department.
Sorry,
Melissa, one quick question.
Yeah.
If we give a special use permit, that runs with it. They could come back next year then, a non-owner occupied STR, for an additional permit. We'll never see that. Is that correct?
Okay. Past practices what I've done is say the house gets sold and the people who were selling the house started to go through the process.
That's not the position. It's not the question. The question, the same owner.
Okay.
It's a non-owner occupied STR.
Yep.
They have a permit period, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So now, once we have reviewed this and we have given them a special use,
yes,
they never have to see us again.
They don't. Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's part of the problem.
Right. But they have to have their annual inspections and are completely.
I understand all the other provisions. I truly do. The provision here that I'm complaining about is the fact that the planning board loses all discretion. All.
Gotcha.
Not if there are 3 complaints.
No, I understand that.
So
and that's not happened yet in any case that I know of. Has not happened. But what it has done is to totally wipe out the rental market for long-term rentals for people who need it in this village.
Yep.
It wiped it out. And it's strictly.
It's the truth.
That's all it is. That's what it's all about. It's a profit motive.
And as soon as the non-owner occupied came in, it changed everything.
And you look at the sales of people who already own one house, who bought another house or a third house just to create STRs.
So that opens up the question, if the town board is considering a moratorium, but it's just sitting there, nothing's happening, and they've already passed this law, question is whether we have the power to put an effective clause on this by just withholding the permits.
Well, I think that's been
non-owner occupies.
And that, I think that's part of what the call was for. And I mean, you know, whether or not to turn them down to put them on pause.
I think that horse left the barn.
Why don't we just the hell out of it?
Kingston, don't worry about it.
Why can't we raise taxes on STRs?
Yeah, you know, and now
I feel like
now the housing committee is struggling to find affordable housing in town.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
Stuart, get back to the vote.
Well, okay, so the motion to take another vote has passed, so I'm going to move to revote, to put up a resolution again to approve the draft resolutions under the STR cases recited by Melissa tonight that are listed on our agenda. That's the motion. So let's take a revote.
as a whole, not by owner occupied, non-owner occupied.
Because I don't know which ones are which.
Yep, on a whole.
There is second.
Rated out.
Moved.
So who's in favor of approving these resolutions as a block?
I am.
I am.
I am.
Hmm.
Unhappily, but I am.
Unhappily.
I'm going to vote.
And the last time too.
I'm going to vote yes, but only because these applications are already in, and I'm concerned about treating them differently from the previous
You know what?
group.
Like I said, we can process these ones, take a hold, take a pause. This conversation we had, we can send this to the town board and Supervisor McKenna.
I'm not proposing we do that, but so I heard 4 in favor. Has everyone else voted on it?
Nay.
Nay.
Nay with comment that I made my decision prior to this discussion tonight.
Okay,
So I have nays as Brian, Connor, and John.
Yeah. Everyone else was yes.
Okay, so I can move on and process those, and I think we'll have to figure something out.
I think we do need to have a breakdown going forward as to owner occupied versus non-owner occupied, because I would need that information to
That's no problem.
consider another no vote just for me.
And as soon as Melissa has the time, you'll have the map. I mean, it takes me a couple of days to put it all in the map. Oh, I'm going to ask Tom Hines if there's some way to automate it. Maybe there is.
I'll give you guys a number. I know that's not really the issue, but you know, yeah, this is where we're at.
But I don't think there's any more moving forward, right? This is it. We're not gonna, there's no more, right?
Well, we have a stack in here.
There's still
that we're
left
under the
from the
cap.
300 that were allowed. So
Yep.
300 applications got filled out. We're just behind in getting them processed. So if we're
Yeah.
going to decide right now to stop giving certain ones the okay,
I get you.
we
Yeah, I get you.
basically have said it's okay for. So we're gonna have to eat that at some point. So it's gonna be thrown in our face, and we're gonna have to account for that.
Is it
That's all I'm warning you guys.
No one's paying me over here, so they can throw it in my face if they want. No, it's not like I'm getting a salary to do this, and I feel like there's a discussion to be had. You know,
Yeah.
there is what's changed is what everyone said would change, happen, and it's worthy of discussion. We've been asked to consider a moratorium.
You're breaking up.
You're cutting out, Connor.
All right, guys and girls. I think that we've discussed that we got to do that. We got to deal with.
We'll come up. We will email as a
That's
planning
fine.
board, and we'll come up with a plan of attack for this. Okay.
Okay. Anybody else?
Comment, please.
Go ahead.
We're running late on our meeting already. I'm kind of hoping we could.
Yeah,
I just want to make a quick comment. I'm one of the people that's non-owner occupied. I built my cabin in 1992. It doesn't even seem like it's in the town of Woodstock. It is a 15-minute drive from my house to get into the town of Woodstock. And I've had no complaints, and it's the only way I can hold on to my vacation home is to rent it out short term. And so there's people's lives at stake.
Well, okay.
People's
So-
lives.
so-
Well, how they live their life.
Okay, let me take it back to the board. Does any other board members have a question, or can we make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, members of the board. It's a tough one to get through, but
Thank you, Peter.
Night.
I agree with John. I totally
Thank
agree.
you, Peter.
All right. Have a good evening, folks.
Take care. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.